What's up, everybody? Here's your host, CN, with the common sense lifestyle and perspective. Alright, so something of subject matter that interesting came up from what I saw yesterday. Um, and then it comes up from time to time is the subject of reparations, right? And so I wanted to talk about reparations and my thoughts on that, right? So don't think of it as a racial thing or a bigoted thing or anything like that. It's just a perspective of what I think. And you don't have to agree with it, right? We can always agree to disagree. Um, but yeah, the subject of reparations always comes around from time to time. A lot of it to me is just sort of gaslighting it and just to kind of ruffle feathers and pump up people for something that's going to be nothing really. And so there's a lot of pieces to that, right? Um, for example, right, we all know about what happened, prior to, you know, the Civil War and then the Emancipation Proclamation, all slavery ended after Civil War, all that stuff, right? And then, throughout the years of just things that went on, but essentially, you know, slavery ended, right? And that was the whole idea of this talk of reparation about, what it says right there. Making amends for a wrong one has done by paying money or otherwise helping those who have been wronged, right? And so, I mean, you could go a wide array of things, um, to what reparation means to people, right? One, it seems like a definition of one, what they define as reparation as means something differently to others, right? Oh, just pay me money, or oh, we've done all these things all these years, to cover, the things that was wrongly done, right? So there's different points of view, and so um, this is the way I look at it, right? And I'm going to give you a California's perspective as well. Um, so with that, all right, they it's essentially in the Constitution saying that it's you know you, it's illegal to really go out of your way for the government to pay reparations, right? Even though they've done some things before, in form of, for example, indigenous people, which they wiped out literally in the United States. They gave them, reservation land, all that stuff, and everything is sovereign, in a sense, right? So they give them sovereign land and all that stuff. Is that reparations for native indigenous people of what is now United States? It's for you to decide on that one. But then when it comes to this whole idea of reparations for blacks, African Americans, however you want to deem it as, right? Um, to me, I think the window of that is long past. That if it was going to be done, it would have been done closer to to the end of the Civil War, that sort of stuff, right? Then 150 years later, right? Uh, that's was it 160 years later, right? So that's the way I look at it. Because the past is the past, and then to make people that is going to pay for it, even though it's really not even close to the time we lived, nor family, and none of us is tied to anything to do with slavery, Civil War, any of that stuff, right? What about the illegals that cross over the border? You're going to make them pay? I mean, so it's like uh, you're going to just make white people pay. I mean, it's just weird, right? To think about how you're going to make people pay and what's the value or what's the sum of what to pay, right? That's the question. because I'm willing to bet that whatever the sum may be determined, it will never be enough, right? You could put a number, say, oh, that's not enough, right? You could put the deficit number of the United States, right? $7 trillion, I think, is in deficit right now, and say we'll give you $7 trillion in reparations, and they're gonna say it's not enough. And we could just give some dreamlike state number. Well, we'll give you $100 trillion, and it won't be enough. It'll never be enough. And then to others, you can never repay back the reparations. So it's like, well, what's the point of paying it then? So anyhow, I'm along the lines of that reparations in general um, shouldn't be paid. It shouldn't be paid. There's things that's been done over the years that really went out of the way to the government benefiting, giving benefits to African American, Black Americans. So if anything, to me, that's is what is kind of, I guess you say, paying back for those times. Um, and then on top of that, I'm this is my point of view about California. It was never a slave state. You can make claims that, oh, well, in California, it's just trying to gaslight, trying to say, oh, we want to help pay back. They're just trying to just win you over, kissing up and all that stuff, only to have you support them, vote for them, whatever like that. But it'll never go through, right? They're going to have these committees, they're going to do all these things to make it look like they're doing something, but it's just not going to go anywhere because California, one, was never a slave state. Two, they don't have the budget to ever put money into that. We're in deficit right now, especially. How are they ever going to pay anything ever, even if we have a surplus like we did during the COVID years? So, to me, um, it's just all gaslight to really just try to win votes, win your support, and it's not going to be anything whatsoever. It's not going to go anywhere. And again, I'm not trying to be like, racial or bigot or anything like that because shit, I'm multicultural myself, multi-ethnic, multicultural, if you want to say that. So you can't just say, oh, I'm racist, whatever. If I am a byproduct of a biracial family, multiracial family, so so you can't say that, all right. But you got to have some common sense here, right? There's been plenty of, like I said, programs. There've been plenty of things over the years that really help, open up and push the right over, to pay for the wrongs. And it doesn't have to be monetary, right? And that's what's been done over the years, for many, many years. And again, I know that it'll never be enough, right? Regardless, it'll just never ever be enough. All right. Well, what are you going to say to the Native Americans that were here, right? They can honestly say anything. But let's just say that the government decides to pay reparations, right? Then what are you going to do? Are you going to go pay the indigenous people? Are you going to go pay the Japanese that were put in internment camps? Are you going to pay the Chinese people that were brought over here as labor during the early 1900s, and especially even earlier than that during the gold rush times, right? Pretty much called indentured servants, right? They were brought over here to work. They weren't called slaves, but they were brought over here. They all wanted to work, and they put in a lot of work, right? So then, where do you draw the line, right? So that's the part as well, because if you pay one, you have to pay the other, because one of them's going to cry, one of them's going to be feeling like they're going to be left out, and it's just a a Pandora's box of trouble to deal with. And to me, California is idiocracy when it comes to pandering, right? This is straight up pandering when they want to entertain anything to do with reparations. They're just pandering. That's all they're doing, right? With irresponsible spending, irresponsible management of just basically how to run an efficient government, and then just to throw out there, hey, we're considering, reparations, because we want to right the wrong. It's like I know that's kind of the progressive kind of way of things, right? But not the common sense kind of way of things, and it's just pandering, straight up. Anything to do with, you know, that is pandering. I mean, even if you have, for example, Alaska say, hey, we want to pay reparations, that's just straight up pandering, right? California's the same thing, they're just pandering. So that's the whole point of it. It's a progressive approach to things because they're trying to win the votes, they're trying to pander, and you're going to see that once they pander and win you over, that now that they're in place, they're going to always sidestep and be like, yeah, we just can't do it right now. Yeah, we just can't do it right now. San Francisco's in a deficit. They're the biggest, idiocracy of mismanagement of government there. Entertaining reparations. And if you heard the figures of what they were throwing out there, it's more than like triple their, city budget, county budget. So how they ever gonna consider paying it, entertaining it? It's all just wasting your breath and wasting everybody's time. And so that's my thought about that. It's just the time has come in when, if you were to consider it, but at the same time, it's unconstitutional. All right, and at this point, any talk of it and anybody trying to entertain that obviously are progressive, liberal people that don't know how to manage money. They don't have the concept because all they could do is spend, 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 spend. But they don't have the concept that, oh, you know what, we don't have the money for that. Or you know what, maybe we should better budget what we're doing here so that we're not overspending. And that's the problem they have because they just think that we just have an unlimited printing of money and that, oh, if we just keep throwing money at it, it'll go away, it'll be fine, right? $24 billion later on the homeless problem in California. Um, you know, we'll just keep throwing money. We have the open border. We'll just keep throwing money to illegals. We're just going to keep printing money like there's no tomorrow. Right? We're just going to just keep giving it away, keep giving it away. Oh yeah, yeah, student loans. Oh yeah, we're going to forgive them. You don't have to pay for it. Don't worry about it. We got it. It's on the house, right? And so, if anything, the government's bankrupting themselves because if you have Democrats, liberal, progressives trying to run the shit, that's all they're going to do is spend, 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 spend. Man, they're just so irresponsible. And if anything, it shouldn't even be. They should all be fired. Anybody that's irresponsible in that way, in a real life job, would be fired. If you were to do that to your own credit, you would have no more credit to entertain because the credit card companies would shut you down. And the list goes on and on. I mean, that's just what it is. All right, so something to really think about. And there's been things done over the years in a way of reparations, right? And so I think the talk of it should just, it should just be done with, right? Because there's never going to be a satisfying value or unit of what is enough, right? In terms of what to pay, because no one's ever going to be satisfied. You might, some might say, "Oh yeah, that's great," but another one's going to say, "No, it's not enough," right? And, you know, and then when you have states that are pandering, like California, they're just wasting your breath. All right. And it's just pure idiocracy more on California just for even wasting your time. All right. And that's just what it is. Um, that's why you don't see like places like Oregon doing that. Even though Oregon's one of the worst places as well when it comes to mismanagement of money. But that's a whole different matter. But I just wanted to talk about reparations and my thought about that. And again, you could agree to disagree, or you can agree with me. I'm fine with that. Either way, but it's something also rhetorical to think about as well. And ponder. And this is something that's just going to go on and on and on for ages. All right. But by law, it's unconstitutional. But anyhow, it's always a matter of subject of discussion. But in all seriousness, I don't think it's ever going to be beyond discussion, and that's it. So with that, I just wanted to give you guys what I think about reparations, and with all due respect to everybody, it's just the the way we are. We are always critical thinkers. Well, most of us are. Not everybody are critical thinkers. Um, but it's something to think about. So with that, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon. I got Telegram group. I got a link tree for like mashed up music as well. And yeah, shoot me a comment. Always got something to talk about. Thanks, and I'll see you next one.